Hello there, well today we're down at Fairtex in Pattaya and we're joining a magazine actually, it's called Property Report. Today it's Property Report Live as they're down from Bangkok in Pattaya and they're posing the question, digital print or PR, to the bunch of guys from the real estate market here in Pattaya. So let's go in and join the guys and a panel of experts. Okay, now one of the key speakers here today is David Armstrong, who comes with, has to say, a wealth of experience in this kind of thing. David, just give us a little bit of background as to your business and or your life as it's been within the various publications.
Yeah, well, I've started in the print business on what was in a very new newspaper called The Australian in 1969, which makes me quite an old fella now. I, after a while, became editor of The Australian, editor of a magazine called The Bulletin, which unfortunately is now defunct, editor of a paper called The Canberra Times, and I spent some years in Hong Kong at the South China Morning Post, and then I was very lucky that I was offered a job as President and Chief Operating Officer of the Bangkok Post Publishing, and they brought me to Thailand in about 6 years ago.
Okay. So now you're here today in Pattaya. You've been speaking to the different people, really from the real estate. Now the question posed, was it digital, print, or PR? But the answer seems to be what?
The answer seems to be that the word "or" was incorrect. Right. The answer is that it should have been the word "and." Because each has a role to play in advertising and in communicating to an audience. So we're talking a lot about PR, but PR of course works through newspapers to a very large degree. PR would not be effective without print. I think I told the audience a little story. About 14 years ago I gave a speech about the future of newspapers, and I said that the internet would not take over from newspapers in my working lifetime. Well, I've retired from Bangkok Post Company. For the last job I did for them was January 31. Yes, so I've made it. Print still has a very important role to play as an advertising medium, and I think most of the people here understand that. And as part of the vehicle for PR, because public relations, a lot of that's about getting people to write stories which appear in print, and in connecting people to digital media. We talked about some of the new, gadgets, if you like, in digital media, including those little barcode things you sometimes see on ads.
This is the QR code.
They're called QR, quick response, and a lot of advertisers, for instance, use those in their print advertising, and then people can scan them on their mobile phones and get more information digitally. Okay. So the two work together.
So it can work together. And I think one of the other things, what I was very surprised at today, was the amount of people in the room who are Facebook users, and they're not using it as a personal social thing, but they're using it as business. And I'd heard previously that some businesses, especially in the real estate market, thought that wasn't particularly effective, but it seems that the people here today thought it was, and also the speakers also thought that was a key thing at the moment.
Well, I think that's right. I think Dr. Fennick made the point that if you expect Facebook to sell a property tomorrow, it's not going to happen. But over time, it's a way of establishing a relationship with potential customers who might become real customers. And it's a way that people can ask questions, make comments about properties, ask questions about properties, and very importantly, they should be responded to. Right. Someone should answer them and explain to them what's going on so that they're fully informed.
Yes, I remember he said that with this type of marketing, and also when he was talking about Twitter, essentially it's free, but the personnel to run it isn't free. It has to, because without the follow-up it's nothing, right?
That's right. It's not set and forget, as it were, like major media advertising. Yeah. It requires a lot of hard work. You have to always follow up because it is communication. with the potential customers. So if they're sending in and asking questions, someone must reply to them. If they're making comments, you know, if you have a real estate in Pattaya website, people will undoubtedly come in and make comments about Pattaya generally, then someone has to be there to make a comment back again.
Sure.
One of the speakers gave an example of a hotel site that he visited where people had made comments on what it was like to stay at the hotel, and the manager had responded to every single comment. And I think that kind of thing is very important with digital media.
Okay, so the difference is really it's a conversation. It's a two-way medium rather than obviously just the old-fashioned style websites, and of course print media as well, which is one way.
That's right. The traditional media, the print media, television, so on, are a way of starting a conversation. You get people interested in what it is that you're putting up, what it is you're selling or promoting, and you try to get them through your door that way. Then you start the conversation. With the social media, the conversation starts right from the start, right from the very beginning, and has to be maintained. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Okay, now so for companies who've spent lots of money on their websites, and then they're starting to get into things like Facebook and Twitter, I mean, obviously the resource that they have to put into that, I mean, it changes the whole. Does that become part of their marketing budget? Or, you know, it changes the whole face of maybe how they set out in their business originally, right?
Yes. Well, I think it should be part of the marketing budget. It's not something you can just set up and not pay attention to. You have to put the resources to it, and those resources are mainly human resources, and someone has to pay for those. So it should be covered by the marketing budget, so that we make sure they're properly attended to.
You said, I think the word you used was troglodyte, which I'm not sure, because you're a newspaper man, but when you're sitting there at the table today, you had your BlackBerry and you had your iPad. I mean, so keeping up with technology is obviously very important for you as well.
It's very important. Even when I was at university as a student editor, I was accused of belonging to the steam age. So I'm kind of used to it. But newspaper and magazine publishers, of course, these days are also digital publishers. They have websites, they have Twitter feeds, they have Facebook sites, and a lot of them have iPad apps. So you really have to keep up with the technology. And more important for someone who's reached a bit more mature stage like myself, hire lots of younger people who really do understand it and trust them to get it right.
So back to the question, you said that the word "or" was the wrong word, and it should be "and." It should be print media and PR. So I mean, obviously I work for Pattaya Mail. So one of the things that I think you mentioned was that when people are doing advertising, like full-page advertising or these colour pullouts, well, sometimes the reason that they're advertising isn't perhaps just to sell the property. In the case of real estate, could you expand on that a little bit?
Yes, sometimes people have different motivations. Sometimes the big glossy ad is there to enhance the brand of a company as a high quality company, so therefore its property will be perceived as high quality. Then within that, it's usually quite a strong, very clear link to the website so that people can go and get more detailed information, or one of these little QR barcodes. But they also have different publics that they're trying to communicate with. When you're a very big, very prestigious company, you want to communicate with the audience of potential buyers, so you have to pick a medium that goes to relatively well-off people. But they have other publics, to use the terminology of public relations, who may be their suppliers, maybe it's previous customers, maybe it's other people in the industry, maybe it's people in government, other people in business, and they want to impress them as well and let them know what's going on. So sometimes their actual target market might be relatively small. It's not the full circulation of the paper.
Now, one of the other things which I thought was quite interesting was a member of the audience was asked about them sending out emails with like an update about what their company is doing. And I think it was Dr. Fennick, he said, well, do you check of those? Okay, the gentleman said he'll send out 7,000 a month, and perhaps he'll have 3 people say, please don't send me this anymore. But Dr. Fennick said, but do you actually check how many people open it?
Yes.
And then they open it, what are they reading? And this is, and related to this is something I just discovered recently, which is about, I think they call it like something like hot zones or something. When people are looking at a website, you can actually work out what parts they're looking at, where their mouse is going. Obviously you can't work out where their eyes are going, not yet.
Not yet.
But you can work out where their mouse is going to. So obviously it's key that people, because people might think that they've got a great website, but the reality is that they're maybe not giving people the information that they want.
Yes. One of the things about digital marketing is it does have a lot of tools where you can track very precisely how the information is being consumed, and I think it's important that people involved in digital marketing use those tools. In the case of the emails, quite rightly, it should be tracked. How many people have opened them, and how many people have opened them long enough to have read them at least. I get some of those patio property emails. I find them interesting, even though I'm not buying. But otherwise, it becomes a little bit like traditional direct marketing. And traditional direct marketing is sent out, direct mailing, sent out in the expectation you're going to get a very low return. 1%, 2%, 3%, 3% tops, and the rest of it's wasted. And that's kind of factored in. But the email marketing, digital or electronic direct mail, can be much more precise than that, and should be used in such a way to make it much more precise.
Okay. And I think finally one of the other things that I found very interesting was when they were talking about websites, is that with websites, when people are reading them, and I guess this came from what they understand people are looking at. I mean, they weren't talking about real estate, talking about websites in general, that people look at not keywords so much, but key phrases. It's short, that people don't actually read the text, they actually scan it. They're just scanning it, and their brain will go to a certain point and they'll read that sentence or the paragraph, and that not necessarily do the photographs, although they may be important, they're not the big part of it. I mean, it's quite an eye-opener, isn't it?
It's quite the opposite the way a newspaper works, where the photograph is there to use a more modern terminology, draw the eyeballs to a page, and all the printers around that is designed to flow from the photograph. On the website, you're quite right, the photograph is secondary, the text is the important thing, and it is keywords, key phrases. The other thing is, which is a bit surprising, although people want to see keywords, key phrases and have short sentences and short paragraphs, they are prepared to scroll. They're prepared to scroll a long way if it's interesting, if it keeps their interest.
If it's interesting.
So the whole text doesn't have to be short. Whereas in a newspaper you think, within limits, the shorter the better. But on the website people will scroll if there's information keeps on coming, which is interesting.
So if the two work hand in hand, then what we will see, I mean, this has started already, as you talked about these QR codes, so you could have people taking out full page colourful, glossy adverts which look beautiful with very little information, but the idea being that people have got the website, they can scan the QR code with their phone, and all the information is there, as long as it's been well represented within those websites.
Yes, it has to be well represented in the websites. So there's no point in dragging people to a website if it doesn't have the right information, or if it's not properly attended, so people don't get a response when they make comments. And I think this is probably just the start of it. There will be further technologies in the future that enhance this kind of process.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up. You've missed a great meeting here today, and in fact, I mean, I have to say, as someone working in the media, it was very, very educational and interesting, and actually, you know, it didn't really have much to do about real estate. It was really just about effective marketing. So I think if they're going to have something like this again in Padua, if you're in business, really you should come along.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, David.
Very much.
Okay, see you again. Bye-bye.